Today we're going to talk about Tracy Denise Brooks. On the morning of February 22nd, 2025, at approximately 2 a.m., Miss Brooks was traveling north by foot on Salem Church Road in Greenwood, South Carolina. She was struck by a vehicle near the intersection with McKellar Drive and died at the scene from her injuries. All of this was reported on by local news stations back in February of 2025 when it happened. But earlier this month, local mayoral candidate James Long released a video on his Facebook page of an audio recording with a man claiming to be the former major of Uniform Patrol. He has made some allegations of police misconduct in connection to Miss Brooks on the evening before in the morning of February 22nd. And if everything he says is true, I would be inclined to agree there was some police misconduct in this case. Let's get into it. In the video posted to Facebook by James Long, you can't see anyone's faces. You see what appears to be a countertop, but you can hear a conversation taking place. I'm going to summarize that conversation for you now, and I am going to play the video in full later on in this episode. This audio starts with a man claiming to be the former major of Uniform Patrol. He goes on to say the evening before the incident, so on February 21st of 2025, the local police received a phone call from T.W. Boone's about Miss Tracy Denise Brooks. He said she was a well-known to police habitual alcohol and drug user. At this point, he does stress she's still a person. He says that once police arrived, Miss Brooks was wearing a medical boot as though for a broken ankle or foot and walking with the assistance of a walker, and that T.W. Boone's wanted her removed from the premises. According to him, the police did not want to take her to the hospital and wait for her to then take her to jail for being intoxicated, and actually said she wasn't intoxicated. This is a direct quote from the video. They claimed she wasn't intoxicated. They said, "We know Tracy Brooks intoxicated. She wasn't intoxicated." According to him, her SLED results said otherwise. At her autopsy, she tested over a 3. Not a 0.3, over a 3, which is intoxicated in my opinion, and in his. He says since they didn't want to take her to the hospital or to jail, one officer was going to give her a ride to her brother's house. So they put her in the back of this patrol car for this officer, and this officer drove her out of the city towards her brother's house. Miss Brooks was allegedly unable to direct them to her brother's house, and when they were unable to find her brother's house, this officer allegedly decided to put her out of the patrol car and leave her at 5 Points gas station. He claims she did not want to be left at 5 Points gas station, and the officer could not get her out of the back of the patrol car. The officer then called in the second officer that was with them at T.W. Boone's, who also drove out to 5 Point gas station to assist in removing Miss Brooks from the vehicle. He said she still refused to exit the vehicle and said, and I quote from the video, "Tracy said, 'Don't put me out here, take me to jail, it's cold.'" He claims that when they couldn't get Miss Brooks to exit the vehicle, they then both turned off their body cameras. And when the body cameras turned back on, Miss Brooks was outside the vehicle in the parking lot of the 5 Point gas station. I'm not going to be as graphic as he is in the audio, but he says that less than 90 minutes after the officers left Miss Brooks in the 5 Point gas station parking lot, she was struck by a vehicle and killed. Less than 90 minutes later. He says the following Monday morning, he spoke to the chief about this incident and was asked how long there was between contact and Miss Brooks being hit. When he answered 90 minutes, he said he was told that's 2 separate incidents. Don't worry about it. He goes on to say once Robert Dean, a local council member, had expressed that the family and friends have questions, he was then instructed by the chief to do an internal investigation. During this investigation, he was able to watch all the body camera footage and says that's where he got all of this information from. He says after watching all the body camera footage, he went back to the chief and said, and I quote, "Someone needs to be fired. This is involuntary manslaughter." To which he says the chief responded, "We are not terminating for that. That's 2 separate incidents. They may have made poor decisions, but no terminations." This man who identifies himself as a former major of Uniform Patrol goes on to say that was my downfall because I stood firm on that. And he seems to be implying that he was later pushed into retirement or pushed out of the force because he refused to stand down in this instance. That's the summary of what he is saying in this video and what he is alleging happened. In the days since this video was released, people have taken to the comment section and are calling for the chief to be suspended. They are calling for the officers to be held responsible in some way. I did reach out to the chief for a comment. I asked if he would be willing to answer some questions for my podcast or if he would be willing to provide a statement. I heard back from Stephanie Withy, which is the communication specialist for the city of Greenwood, that they would be unable to comment at this time. I asked James Long for a comment, and he said, and I quote, "If this isn't corruption, I don't know what corruption is." I do know that several people have claimed to send this information to SLED for an internal investigation from outside of our own police department. Now there are claims circulating on social media that SLED has actually been reached out to investigate the release of this information. I'm not saying that's true, but I am saying that it would not surprise me if they are more concerned with this information being released than the suspicious circumstances that may surround Miss Brooks' death. Okay, now I'm going to share the full video from Facebook with you, and we're going to talk more about it afterwards. If you have already seen the video and want to skip through this part, just fast forward about 6.5, 7 minutes, and then we'll be back to talking.
At that time, I was the major of uniform patrol. So it was a weekend. And there's certain things in policy that I'm going to be notified of. That happened at night. I should have been notified. I wasn't. Sunday morning, I was out at my in-laws' house eating. I don't remember the occasion, but my day shift captain called me and said, "Hey, man, I don't know if night shift called you or not, but you need to be aware of this. Told me about it." And I said, "Well,
there was a car accident involving a death."
That's right. Yeah, I was like, "Well, it happened on Solemn Church Road. That's in the county." He said, it's the story before that you need to know."
Yeah.
How it played out is she lived on Edgefield Street. Very habitual alcoholic, drug user, very well known to us.
The one that got killed.
Yes. Still a person.
Yeah, right.
So she wandered her way up to T.W. Boone's. She had a boot on one leg and a walker.
Like a broke foot boot.
Yeah, like a broke foot, ankle, something. And T.W. Boone's dealt with her for a little while until they just got tired of her obnoxiousness and called. Well, the shift that responded over there knew her. Didn't want to take her to jail. So didn't want to sit with her at the hospital. Because she's got a broke foot. If you're not taking her to jail, you take her on to the hospital because they got to clear her.
I understand.
Right. So after some off-camera discussions, they decided to take her to the gas station at 5 Points.
Drop her off?
Once they got out there, it was supposed that her brother lived out there. As long as I've been dealing with Tracy, I've never known her to have a brother out there, but she says my brother lives out there, so I'm not going to debate that fact. She couldn't tell the officer where her brother's house was. Officer rode around with Tracy in the back seat.
The lady.
Mm-hmm. Officer rode around with her.
So instead of taking her to the hospital.
Yep. Or to jail.
Yep. They took her to 5 Points.
Right. And their argument was that she wasn't intoxicated. They know Tracy. Their words were, "We know Tracy Brooks intoxicated. She wasn't intoxicated."
Yeah.
Her SLED results said otherwise. She was over a 3.
The autopsy.
Yeah. Yeah. So they took her out there, rode her around. They got tired of riding around. The officer did. Her name was Ballinger. She's no longer working there.
Okay.
But not because of this. Ballinger decides to take her to the gas station and drop her off.
At the 5 Point gas station?
Mm-hmm.
So they just decided, hey, we're just going to drop her off.
Yeah. So she pulls up to 5 Points gas station and opens the back door. Tracy's like, "Don't put me out of here. I don't want to get out of here. Take me to jail. It's cold." You know, with the boot on, with a walker. And so she calls, Ballinger calls Teasley, who's still employed there.
Teasley's a police officer?
Yes, Austin Teasley, who was also at T.W. Boone.
Okay.
Teasley comes out there. There's a few short, brief moments on body camera of him trying to coax her out of the car. And then they both turn their cameras off. and Tracy Brooks is out in the fucking car.
Yeah.
How she got out, don't know, but the whole time she was begging, don't put me out here, take me to jail.
Yeah.
Less than 90 minutes later, she's hit by a fucking car. She comes through that dude's windshield's laying in his passenger seat.
Walking down the road.
Walking down the road. Well, when all that came about, initially, that Monday morning, I told the chief about it. I went in there and verbally told the chief basically what I told you. And he said, what was the time frame? I said, rough guess, 70, 90 minutes. He said, 2 separate incidents. Don't worry about it. Okay. So I didn't worry about it. Well, then one of the city council members, the African-American guy.
Robert Dean.
Yes. He came up there. He also works at the funeral home.
He's a good guy.
He a very good guy.
Very good guy.
Same funeral home that handled her service. And he said, look, she didn't have much family, but her friends and what little bit of family you have, they want to know how the hell they ask questions.
Right.
So chief calls us in there and says, you're going to have to do an internal investigation. Okay. So that's when all of it came to light. I started watching the camera footages and stuff like that because I was the major. I went back in there. I said, Chief, you got to terminate these people. In my mind, this is involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah.
That was my downfall because I stood firm on that. And
Stepping on toes.
absolutely not. We're not terminating for that. That's not as 2 separate incidents. They might have made some poor decisions, but no. That lady's dead.
Yeah.
She is dead, and she would not be dead if they wouldn't have took her out there, because she wouldn't have got her ass out there.
Well, she should have went to jail or to the hospital. If they detained her and put her
take her fucking home.
If they detained her and put her in the car, she's now in their custody.
She was. That's right.
Okay, so she's now in their custody.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just take people and drop them off in the middle of nowhere.
No. Take her home. It's across the street.
Especially if, can you tell me why they detained her? Why did they detain her? What was the reason?
T.W. Boone's wanted her gone.
I know, but what was they can't tell her to leave, but why did they put her in a police car?
Because she wasn't very mobile.
Yeah.
I mean, it took her 90 minutes to get from the 5 Points gas station.
Well, where were they supposed to be taking her when they left T.W. Boone?
They had come to the agreement of they were going to her brother's house by 5 Points.
Yeah.
Rather than jail at the hospital.
Gotcha. So they said, we're not going to take her to jail, we're going to take her to a family member's house.
Assumption, yes. There was some conversation that they muted their body cameras.
But they dropped her off just at the gas station and said, get the hell out.
At fucking midnight.
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning, gas station closed.
How old was this lady?
I don't know. 60s, maybe?
If everything he's claiming is true, then I have a lot of questions. I don't know what Greenwood County Police Department's policy is when it comes to giving intoxicated people a ride home, but I doubt it is this. I also doubt that their body camera policy allows officers to turn off their body cameras and turn them back on when it is convenient to them. I am very curious to know from these 2 officers what happened and the time that those cameras were off and how they were able to convince Miss Brooks to exit the vehicle. If what he says is true, they took her from uptown in the city all the way out to the country, which was further away from her residence. They left her there in the middle of the night. In the middle of February, when it was cold, the gas station was closed. She was wearing a boot and walking with the assistance of a walker, and it was completely against her will. If all of this is true, I cannot comprehend not only what these officers were even thinking, but the lack of empathy for a human being to leave them in those circumstances. I literally cannot comprehend it. I have also seen on social media that the family is aware of this and are reaching out to a lawyer. I genuinely hope that they are able to receive all the information they deserve. And if all of this is true, I hope they are able to get justice for their family member. Guys, this was my very first episode. I really appreciate if you hung out with me until the very end. My next episode, I plan on talking about the data centers and the moratorium that our county council will be voting on next week. It has not passed yet. It still has to pass its 3rd reading. So we're going to be talking about that. If there's anything you'd like to hear me speak up on or that you think I should be aware of, please send me an email or reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. My inbox is always open.